Hi everyone, I am reading Feisty, Heroines, romance collection of shorts, the anthology. I'm reading Good Bones by Maggie Adams, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. Griffin. Well, she won't sell. Riker Callahan plopped down on Griffin McBride's plush leather office chair. She won't even discuss it. Told me it had been in her family for generations and she was going to restore it. The place is a dump. There's no way she can afford to restore the thing, but she's adamant about not selling. Griffin pinched the bridge of his nose and sighed heavily. God, save me from sentimental idiots, he groused. I say we forget the whole thing, Griff, and find another piece of property. I know the draw is because Mark Twain once said something there, or had a party there, or whatever the hell he did, but they don't even let kids read Tom Sawyer or Huckleberry Finn anymore. So how is that going to be a draw for a golf resort? Griffin closed his eyes. He had to have that land. Riker didn't understand the whole picture, and he wasn't about to clue him in. Talk about sentimental idiots, he thought to himself. He was the king of sentimental idiots. Hannibal home had been his grandfather's final place of rest before his death. The hospice home had once been the shining jewel atop the bluffs of Hannibal, Missouri, overlooking the mighty Mississippi River. Built by the logging magnate John J. Cruikshank, friend of Mark Twain, who was one of the greatest writers in America. It was a massive mansion. Griffin's grandfather, Clayton Thompson, had never been a rich man, nor had he ever wanted to be. He'd rather barter than work, but Griffin had loved him dearly. They had gone on many adventures together, hunting down whatever took his grandfather's fancy. However, it was what Clayton Thompson had uncovered that made it imperative for Griffin to purchase Hannibal home. On one of their quests, he and Clayton found a letter from Samuel Clemens. A professional historian had authenticated it, and now it was missing. Griffin was determined to get it back, not for the monetary value, but because that had been the last adventure they shared before Griffin's father had taken him away. Opening his eyes, he stared at Riker. I'm not looking anywhere else. The mansion has historic significance. I know she's asked for help from the Historical Society, but I can overcome that issue. The land itself would make a magnificent golf course and resort, and the mansion could be fully restored. Did you know it was once called Rockcliffe Mansion? Rockcliffe Resort would be a perfect name. Griffin shook his head. Find a way. Contact the Historical Society. Use your realtor's smile. Use anything you need to find a way to get me that property. Look, Griff, I don't mind doing this for you, but I've got my own share of troubles. We have 3 contracts for subdivisions in St. Louis County alone, not to mention the one set for Cape Girardeau, and the government renovation of the abandoned malls to house the homeless with facilities and beds. And that was your idea, remember? You can't do it? Griffin scowled at his friend. I'll do it, Griff. I'm just wondering why you won't. Griffin glared at him, silently hoping Riker would stop digging. Riker conceded. I get the allure of the place since your grandpa died there, don't get me wrong. I do understand it took a while to find him. You did it, though, and you got to say goodbye. It's been a year. Let it go. Griffin blinked back to the tears that were threatening to fall. He had almost been too late to say goodbye, thanks to the damn lung cancer eating away at the old man. The memories of the day came back in a rush. Griffin, do not fret. I found happiness here. No more wandering, though. The faint whisper tore at Griffin's heart, and he fiercely clung to the bony hand that had guided him in his younger years a little tighter. A deep cough racked his grandfather's emaciated body. Papa? Griffin felt tears fall onto his cheek. Why didn't you contact me? I tried to find you, to take you with me back to Scotland, but it was as if you had disappeared. You were a young man, ready to take on the world, my boy. You didn't need to watch over an old man like me. I could have helped you, Papa. The disease. You would have tried to stop it, and there's no stopping death. Another coughing fit tormented the older man's body. For a moment, Griffin feared this was the end, but the fit subsided, and his grandfather opened his eyes once again. Griff, my boy, as I always said, you can't find happiness in the past, nor can you find it in material things. But if you look in your heart, deep in your soul, that's where your happiness lies. If you're at peace, then you're happy, and I am at peace. Papa, I just found you. I can't let you go. It's too soon. The tears poured down Griffin's face as he realized how many years he wasted building his wealth instead of truly trying to find his grandfather. Clayton cracked a smile. You, my boy, have lived an adventurous life without me. But perhaps one last adventure for the two of us? Thinking the old man meant his death, Griffin begged. No, Papa, not yet. Hush now, lad, and listen. I've one last tale to tell, he wheezed out. I want you to have the letter. You know the one I mean. Yes, Papa, I do. She's kept it safe for me, and she'll keep it safe for you, no matter the purpose of others. Good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience. This is the ideal life. That was Twain, my boy, from the letter. It still holds true today. Another fit took hold of the old man. The hospice nurse came in to check on Clayton and make him more comfortable, soon motioning to Griffin that his grandfather's time was drawing near. He simply nodded and held tightly to his grandfather's hand as the older man passed away. Griffin shook off the memories and wiped the tears from his face. Riker had politely walked away to peer out the window of the high-rise office, which housed McBride Development. Thanks, Riker. I know you're right. It's my decision, and it should be me who gets the job done. I didn't mean it that way, Griff. I know it's hard for you. It is, but this will hopefully be the closure I need. The Rockcliffers work will be a fitting tribute to the man who spent his life teaching me how to turn nothing into something, and to have grand adventures in my everyday life. Riker nodded. As long as you can get the crazy lady who owns it to sell, my friend. Griffin waved him off. Don't worry about it. I have a plan. Chapter 2. Casey. Cassandra, Casey Sparks, wiped the sweat from her brow with a handkerchief and a weary sigh. She'd never been afraid of hard work. Could handle anything from a car engine to a renovated house. But this overgrown garden, coupled with the July heat wave, was about to get the best of her. Reaching for her water jug, she took a long swig, allowing the cool wetness to run down her shirt and between her breasts. She knew she needed to rest a minute, but the darn weeds seemed to sprout up every time she stopped. Besides, if she sat, she might never get up, and her pale, freckled skin would look like a boiled lobster. She also didn't even want to think about how her muscles would seize up and mutiny because of what she'd been putting them through. I'm definitely not 20 anymore, she chuckled to herself. Nope, she had officially turned 30 yesterday, and what had she gotten? A bee sting under her eye, an itchy patch of poison ivy on her arm, and some high-dollar real estate agent trying to charm her into giving away her inheritance. At least he smelled nice, she mumbled to herself, coaxing the errant strands of copper-colored hair back into her lopsided braid. She sniffed under her arm as inconspicuously as possible to make sure she wasn't giving off an offending odor. It felt like forever since she'd had a shower, although she'd had one at 5:30 this morning. Hey, Blue Eyes, get your fine self over here. Casey dusted her hands on the back of her denim cutoffs, tucking her damp handkerchief behind her pocket. What's up, Mona? Casey headed over to the plump woman, who had helped her mother run the hospice home for over 30 years. Mona Malone, registered nurse, cook, and general repair woman, had been a godsend for the Sparks family when Casey's grandmother had suffered a stroke. Her boisterous manner, along with her sweet care, had eased the family's sorrow. It had been Mona who suggested that they transform the crumbling mansion into a hospice home. Casey's mother jumped at it, fearing they would have to sell their homestead as taxes continued to rise. She and Mona ran the place while Casey attended business school. When a drunk driver had killed Casey's mother, Casey quit her job and returned home to help Mona with the few patients they still had. That had been 2 years ago. Got a call from Jefferson City a few minutes ago. Looks like you were right in predicting the future, girl. They turned down our license renewal. Too many potential hazards in this old house, Mona announced. Did you tell them we're fixing them? Updating? Of course I did, but you know the government. They only care about the rules. Casey sat down on the brown grass, thoroughly defeated. Well, that's that. I guess we better start packing. She brushed at the tears that fell. Damn it, she had tried so hard. Why had that damn inspector come a week early? And why had the upstairs pipe burst in the blue suite during the inspection? What are you doing, girl? Get up. We got work to do, Mona admonished her. Getting the dead folk smell out of this here place before we turn it into a B&B is going to take some time and some pine saw. Casey blinked, gaping at the older woman. What are you talking about? This place was a B&B before it was a hospice home, right? Your grandma, God rest her sweet soul, had turned it into one. So, let's change it back. That realtor guy that was here yesterday was mumbling about historic charm and lots of land, while I say we steal his idea and do it ourselves. Do you have any idea how much work is involved in that? Casey squinted up at her. Not to mention permits, renovation, cost, insurance. Oh, you're just tired is all. Get on up and let's have some lemonade while we think about this. Those Airbnbs are all the rage. We've got 12,000 square feet of common areas, 5 kitchenette suites, and 8 regular suites. Some paint and wallpaper, a few repairs. We already got the inspection report, so we know what needs fixing. And we're in business. We would have to get permits from the Planning Commission. I mean, I guess I could go to the Historical Society for some help, but that's an awful lot to take on. Are you saying we can't do it? Mona scowled at her. Where's your backbone, girl? We can do it all right, Casey corrected. I'm just saying it's going to take months. Where's the income coming from? We'd have to take out a loan. I don't have that much left in savings. I was working on the repairs whenever my income was received. Then get up and take a shower, pull out a fancy suit from the back of your closet, and make some appointments. We got no time to lose. The realtor is going to be back, and if he gets to it first, well, I'm just saying. Casey smiled at the older woman when she didn't continue. You're just saying what? I'm just saying you better not sass me. So get on up there, that's what I'm saying, the older woman cackled. Casey dusted off her bottom once more. It might just work, she thought as she hiked the rest of the way up the small hill toward Mona, who was already striding back into the kitchen. You know, Casey said, we're going to have to hire staff, and somebody's going to have to supervise them all. Lord knows this place would fall down around me if I wasn't here to take care of it, Mona winked at Casey. Then you're hired, Casey exclaimed. Now, let's get to work. 1 week later, Casey stood before the zoning commission in her hometown. Several members were also on the Historical Society's board, which meant it was almost like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. After she got permission from the zoning board to have the hospice home turned into a bed and breakfast, she'd have to tackle the bank, and she was dreading that one. She was a bit nervous as she pulled down her skirt, trying to get the wrinkles out. It was hotter than blazes in there, even though the air conditioner was working, making her glad she'd taken her copper tresses and pulled them back into her regular braid. She had foregone the business suit, opting instead for a light summer dress, and such a nice formal pattern along with heeled sandals. She hoped she looked feminine, yet professional, the type of person who would own a quaint bed and breakfast in the historic town. After the reading of the minutes and other business of the board, the commissioner, Malcolm Hastings, who she'd known her entire life, motioned for her to stand. We're accepting new business now. Casey, state your name for the record and present your proposal. She stood and walked over to the podium. Hello, my name is Casey Sparks, and my family has owned the Rockcliffe Mansion for several generations, all the way back to Mr. Crookshanks, God rest his soul. I've come to ask for the zoning commission to allow me to start a bed and breakfast in place of the hospice home. I believe it would be a wonderful addition to our hometown, as well as a profitable business from a community standpoint. We would use locally grown produce and farm-fresh groceries from here. We will cross-promote our business with the other businesses in town to offer specialty items in our gift shop, as well as within the suites themselves. We will also have to hire staff, which would increase employment opportunities for the area. Taking a deep breath, Casey told herself to slow down. She noticed a man she'd never seen before sitting at the end of the commissioner's table. Her breath caught, and she was unable to pull her gaze away. The man was attractive, but more than that, his eyes were boring into hers, and she couldn't help the blush staining her cheeks. The gentleman stood up. Miss Sparks, you're leaving out a few important facts. A recent inspection from Jefferson City Nursing and Safety Council has stated your home is in desperate need of significant repairs. Now, who or what would be funding this type of repair, which would cost well into the millions? Casey bristled. Who in the world was this person to tell her what she did or did not have in the way of financial capability? It was the truth. But who was he, and how had he managed to get a copy of that darn inspection? Who are you? Griffin McBride. Something about that name is familiar. It suddenly hit her, and she scowled. You're the realty company trying to buy my land. Turning to the members, she pointed at McBride. This man is trying to buy my land, and I am not selling. She glared at Griffin again. Griffin nodded in agreement. You're absolutely right, Miss Sparks. I want that land, and I have the money to turn it and the house into a moneymaker for the area. I'm here to see that I get it.